Well, good morning. It's Monday, the 30th of April. Back in the shed, and I'm working on the sill today, driver's side sill. I got the old one off on Friday. There it is. It was a matter of drilling out a lot of the spot welds, and then back here there's a little bit of cutting involved because there's some brazing, and I'm going to have to do some grinding to clean that up. So today it's evaluate, clean up, see what happens. This section here on the bottom of the A-post, when I was looking at it on Friday, I thought I might be able to patch some of this. So it'll depend on what it looks like when I clean up the metal that's here. This bottom part is obviously pretty bad. We'll have to see what it looks like up here. I do have a replacement panel for this component, but on the right hand side. I don't know why I bought just the right hand side. Can't tell right now if the right is worse than the left, but anyway, worst case scenario, I can order one of these panels. So yeah, a bit of grinding today to get down to some metal so we can do some assessment, see what it looks like, and then start fitting up the sill pieces and starting to do a bit of fitment. I'll get the door out of storage and get that in place to see if I can do some just quick gap checking to make sure everything's looking pretty good. But that's where we stand today. So do a few snapshots and updates as we go along, and that's about it. See you in a bit. Okay, so an update here. I cleaned it back a little bit, got some of the loose rust off. This section here, down to the bottom, is a bit pitted, but actually, if you compare it to the inside, it's actually pretty solid. So I think probably about an inch or so up from this feathered rotten edge is probably in pretty good shape. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that I had pardon me, I had the replacement panel for the right hand side, and here it is here. I don't know why I only ordered the one, but anyway, I think what I'm going to try and do is to do some patching here on the old one. Now, the nice thing is that I do have this panel, this replacement panel, that I can use to template in a mirror image. And so what I can do is I can cut along the bottom here, and then actually you can see here there's another bit of a hole here, so probably have to cut out something like that. That should be fairly straightforward. That's pretty flat, especially when you compare it to the original piece here. So you can see on the original that section's flat. So I can cut back there, patch piece in there, and then I think come along here and down here, and then just do some pieces. So as I get a little bit better idea of how I'm going to proceed with that, I'll give you another update. Okay, I think I have a plan. So, starting up here to the front, I'm going to cut out some sections here back to good metal. So I'm going to cut this section here, a little square. I'm going to make a long cut down here, come across this way, and then along the bottom of the inner A-post lower portion, all the way across. And I've got plans for how I'm going to make some of these transitions so I'm not going to try and bend them. I'm going to make them as separate little pieces and weld them in place and then build it all up that way. Probably the two most complicated pieces are going to be up in here in this corner, because this has got a curve, and then I've got to put a flange around here. So think again, I'll do that in two pieces. So I'll make this curved section, get that shape, and then take a thin strip and weld it to the edge and make a flange after I've finished shaping that. And then down here, there's this hump in the pressing, so this might be the chance for me to break out my press that I just got on the weekend, get that set up, try and press a curve into a small piece like that, and then make that section to fit. So well, I'll try and bring some more updates as the sections go along. Okay, well, there's the hole. And up there, I just have to take this piece up in the corner out. You can just see it marked there. So that piece there. I think there's a spot weld in behind that rust to take out. And then this section here came out, and all the pieces are here. So there's that one especially. I can use that to judge the curve when I'm bending up that piece. So, all right, here we go. All right, so I've been trying to get a rough idea of how this replacement panel is fitting, and a couple of things that became obvious fairly quickly. One is that on this curve here, where underneath where the transition piece for the A-post is going to sit, there's supposed to be a flange. You can see it here on the original piece. So no flange on this replacement part. Now, unfortunately, there's really no option of sending these back, because I got these replacement panels about 25 or 30 years ago. So that's going to have to be fudged or bodged or whatever you want to call it. The other thing that was kind of weird is that when I put the panel in place, I can't really show you because it takes two hands, and there seems to be a lot less curve in this replacement panel. So a lot less curve along here. Now, I think that can be addressed just by making sure that when I'm putting this panel in, that essentially it's getting sprung into place. So it'll be under a fair amount of tension until I get it tacked in. I think I've heard other people talk about that sort of thing with replacement panels before. That they seem like they don't fit, but then you have to give them lots of push to have them in place under tension. So that's where I am right now. Back to fiddling and fussing around. All right, continuing to move backwards. I've opened up the bottom of the B post on the rear fender, and I knew there was some repair that had to be done down here. That shouldn't be too bad. Should be able to put a reasonable patch in there. This as well. So a 2 or 3 piece patch. We'll do this section here, then come around the edge like that, and then on the far side of the wheel arch, bring this down to meet over here. So for the moment, I'm just going to leave this little tab here at the bottom for reference. But the wire wheel is my frenemy. So I found that. You can see some light shining through there. So I think what I'm going to do is this. 4 steps forward and 4 steps back for every step forward so far. So I think what I'm going to do here is see if I can get my small wheel in there to cut. Let's see if I can see this. Cut around here and like this to bring this layer off, and then do a repair patch around here because there's a flange on the outer portion of the wheel arch. The inner flange of the outer wheel arch, if that makes sense. So do that and then tack this back on over top. I keep talking about all of these things that I'm going to do. Haven't done any of them yet because I've just been opening up all these cans of worms so far. So I think it's time to get out some cardboard and do a little CAD and maybe get a couple of patches in here so I can boost my confidence a little bit. See how that works. Okay, after about 15 steps backwards, I'm going to try and take 1 step forward. So this is my first attempt at doing cardboard aided design. There's my little template, which I drew from this spot right here. And here's a piece of metal that I cut. Not too bad. And now I'm going to tack it in. So let's see how that goes. Tonight I am going to get a magnetic base light. Alright. First piece welded in. That'll do. That'll do. Alright. So now just flange here and the inner flange along there. Bob's your uncle. Alright. Alright, so there's the first little patch. Not perfect. There's some holes. Can you see? Yeah. Some holes. They have to be be done. But it's a start. So, end of the day now, I'm going to pack it in. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, hello. Well, it's the next day, the 1st of May. Just a quick snapshot here of what I've been working on. So what we've got here is a little bit of a patch, just to remind you, because it was so long ago. This little kind of triangular patch here, and then another patch here that I've done along the flange of the wheel well, and then I have to put a return on this over here. That's yet to come. I think what I'm going to tackle next, though, is this bit up in here. See if I can backlight it for a little bit better. Yeah, there you can see the light coming through. There's at least 3-4 relatively large holes in here. So the basic plan is to, as gingerly as possible, cut out a section here, save this if I can. There's a couple of spot welds here, so I'm going to have to be careful. And then do a patch to the underlying flange of the inner wheel, or the outer wheel arch, the inner flange of the outer wheel arch, and then put that piece back in place. So that promises to be challenging. Here we go. Alright, so it's not as bad as I thought. Well, it's as bad as I thought, maybe a little bit worse. So what I've done, I've ended up, as I explained last time, I cut back some of the inner B-post to expose the inner flange of the outer wheel arch. And in doing so, I've discovered that the rust went all the way through to the outer flange of the inner wheel arch. Not surprising, since they were side by side. I cleaned back the seam sealer on the inside here, so in here, and the rot doesn't seem to go any further back than this. So I'm going to clean this back to good metal, and then build up 3 patches. One for the outer flange of the inner wheel arch, one for the inner flange of the outer wheel arch, and one for the rear vertical on the B-post, the inner B-post. That make sense? Alright, I'll be back. Okay, first step. Got this patch piece cut, ready to weld in. Just going to prime it and be ready to go. Then I'll start on the inner flange of the outer wheel well, and then finally the T-post section. So, yep, here we go. I'll be back. Okay, I got the first patch in place. That's the outer flange of the inner wheel arch. Pardon the welding. I'm still getting my practice in. So hopefully it will get better. Right now it looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast. But anyway, do a little bit of grinding, and then I've got the other patch cut, and I've got it primed, just letting the primer dry. So we'll go that next. Alright, there's the result of it when all of the high spots are ground down. Not too bad looking. There will be seam sealer over that eventually, so I'm not striving for absolute perfect smoothness, but I think I actually managed to do this without any apparent pinholes this time, so that's good. So I'm going to pack it in for the night. Trying to go and make some supper, and I think I might be uploading this tonight because I probably have quite a bit of footage and I don't want this whole thing to get too long, so I'll break it up into parts. Okay, so again, if you've been watching this and you've got any comments or suggestions, I would really appreciate hearing from you. The stuff that I'm doing, I've only been able to gain the confidence to try it because of watching other people on YouTube, people like Chef Tush, Aline Yakov, Chris Fisher, guys like that have given me the self-confidence or the chutzpah, depends on your point of view, to go ahead and try these things. So if you see me doing something wrong, please let me know so that I can correct myself before I get too much further. Again, thanks for subscribing and commenting, and we'll see you soon.